Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott, and I'm here with Charles Scott Jr., which
Yes,
is the
how you guys
co-host,
doing?
and also Lee Overland, which is our guest for today.
Yes, today we have a guest here, Lee Overland. He's the CEO and owner of the Next Great American Homes. And if you have followed us online, you saw we did a tour of that house. It's an ICF house. Now, Mr. Lee, can you tell us more about this new technology and how does it work?
Sure. The type of construction that we typically see is wood frame.
Yes.
So we cut down a dozen trees for every home, and the outside walls are made of wood, all the interior walls are made of wood, and unfortunately wood is a product that deteriorates. You get mold, you get mildew,
Termites.
you get rot, termites, animals, mice. I mean, everything gets through that. It's a food source. And most importantly, it can catch on fire and
Yes.
it burns. So what I've been promoting over the last 10 years for our designs is a product called ICF, Insulated Concrete Forms. It's basically a Lego block that becomes all the outside walls. They
Yes.
snap together, they go around, you go all the way up, it gets filled with concrete. You put your siding on one side and your sheetrock on the other, and those are your outside walls. And now we have a home that's stormproof and fireproof and actually goes up faster and costs less to build.
And the good thing, I remember you explaining, these houses last a long time. Like, I tell people when I'm showing them houses, like this house we're in is 120 years old. And they say, I can tell the floors are creaking, everything's kind of like slanted a little bit, the house is settling. But like you said, these will last for centuries, not decades.
They will. And also, all the interior walls we do in a metal stud. The roofs we do in what we call a structural insulated panels. There's no roof
Yes.
rafters. So there's several other components that go into these homes that make them, again, storm and fireproof, high efficiency. They probably save 50 to 75% on energy bills, heating and air conditioning. But most important is you don't need to put much fuel into these homes.
Yes.
And therefore, if we can stop using as much gas and oil, we're all going to be better off.
Just to give everybody a little bit of background, how this interview came about was that, as everyone out there knows, Ms. Gloria Brown is also a co-host of the show. And going back years ago, she was the recipient of the Extreme Makeover. And I think that was what, ABC?
Yes.
The Extreme Makeover, in which the Extreme Makeover program was going all across America, and they would have people compete for the Extreme Makeover, and Gloria Brown won. And Mr. Lee Overland was the architect for that particular home. Can you, tell us a little bit of background about how all that came about?
Sure. Yeah, well, first it was a wonderful experience, and Gloria Brown was just an amazing person, her and her
Yes.
kids and her whole community. But ABC chose her to have her home redone. If you remember the television program, Move That Bus, and so this was in 2007. And ABC called me up, being a Connecticut architect, and asked if I'd be interested in taking a look at the project, and I did, and I decided that it would be really nice to do. It would be giving back to the community.
Yes.
We donated our services, and we basically rebuilt that house that was, it had flooded, it was caught on fire, and just a really sad situation. So we were the architects to do that house, and just as I said, a wonderful experience.
Yes.
And now also from that, I've known Mrs. Elder Gloria Brown for many, many years, and a couple of weeks ago, she had you as a guest on one of her programs, and that's where I met you. And
Yes.
from that, you invited us out to see the house of the future.
Oh, yes, house future.
And I was taken aback because it's like, as we'll show a clip later on, people can see what's going on. Me being a realtor and my son being a realtor, we've sold traditional homes,
Yes.
And when we sell a home, and the insurance is always set so that.
Oh, mic fell out. We can edit that. All right, so go back to what you were saying about.
As I said before, we met on Gloria Elder Brown's program, and then you invited us out to your house. And when we went out to your particular house, it was the house of the future. When we as realtors, we sell a house and we sell a property, and the insurance is always estimating that the house will last 100 years, and they depreciate. Even the government says, well, the average house will last 100 years. But when we saw your particular house, and I was totally amazed at how it was built and how, was it net energy, zero? Maybe explain a little bit about that also, because that I was
Yes,
really
zero
impressed
net.
with.
Sure. You know, I learned about these products about 10 years ago. I've been an architect for over 40. I'm losing track, but definitely over 40 years. And, you know, we don't necessarily pay attention. We hear about climate change. We hear about weather and tornadoes and hurricanes and you know, even this winter, you may have realized it was a very mild winter.
Very mild, very warm.
And so about 10 years ago, when I realized that this product was out there to do our first project, I decided to do it on every project because, as I said earlier, we don't need to be using oil and gas and paying a lot for insurance and replacing our homes every 50, 75, 100 years.
Yes.
And even at that point, a 100-year-old home probably has significant amount of renovation and money that was put into it. There's no need for us to do that, and we could help this country, help this world by building better. So that's what I'm promoting, is we could build homes that will last for centuries, not decades.
Exactly.
And we could build homes that your insurance rates will be minimal, because if there is a fire, maybe your cabinets will burn, some furniture will burn, but the house can't burn. It's a fireproof home inside and out, and storm-proof. So it's really what I feel is the next generation of building, and will be something that our grandchildren, great-grandchildren will appreciate if we could all take this up.
What I also like about the house is not only do you have the new technology ICF, you're still using solar panels on top of the house also to also save energy. Very nice.
Yeah, so these, you mentioned, these homes can be net zero, which basically means that you're producing as much energy from the sun as you are using. And because these homes are so efficient, it takes many less solar panels to do this, and less battery to run these homes. So that becomes a net zero. As a matter of fact, most of these homes will probably generate more electricity than they use.
How about that?
And then in the
Help pay the mortgage.
it does. I mean, every month, if you think about how much you save on not putting oil or gas
Yes.
into a home, or the electric bill being, you know, zero as opposed to hundreds of dollars. Yeah.
Now, you recently received an award, too, probably among many other awards, but maybe you can talk about that one, because that had to do with this particular type of construction, right?
Yeah, fortunately, we're getting published a lot, and we did win. You may be referring to the Home Builders and Models Association, the HBRA. They gave out an award of, I believe it was called the most efficient
Yes.
home designed by an architect, and you know, that was very gratifying to get that award.
Now, how could someone get in touch with you? You're in Connecticut, and I'm assuming Fairfield or Danbury. How would someone get in touch with you if they wanted more information about this type of construction?
Sure. Well, we did close the Danbury Main Street office at right in the beginning of, middle of COVID, as my staff, I have a small firm, little boutique firm, myself and 3 wonderful employees. And now we all work from our homes. So my home, which is this ICF home I built, I've been in, it'll be 2 years in June. That house has my home office as well. So as I said, the staff is working remotely. It's in Fairfield. So that is the office. If anybody's interested, they can look up the nextgreatamericanhomes.com or ldoverland.com, or our telephone number, 203-794-9001. And anybody contemplating building residential or commercial, I'd love to speak to them, because this is very, very important to build better than we have been doing.
Now, you just mentioned something. That was going to be my next question. This can also be applied to commercial use also. It doesn't have to be residential.
Correct. As a matter of fact, it's probably really great for the mid-rise buildings. You know, you'll see a lot of these residential 4, 5, 6-story buildings going up around Bridgeport, Fairfield. I mean, almost every town.
Yes.
Believe it or not, these buildings are built out of wood.
I see that. I see a lot of wood framing.
And you know, they will have sprinkler systems, but you have to remember, a sprinkler system is only going to give you that 15, 20 minutes to get out of the building when smoke alarms and the sprinkler starts going off. It doesn't save the building.
No.
So these buildings end up in hours of being totally destroyed. So it's dangerous. So by building commercial out of this, whether it's townhouses, mid-rise buildings, commercial buildings, and the best part, it costs less money to build this way. So it's really a win-win for everybody involved.
Yes, that's why it's more affordable and it's better built. It's really insulated, like you said. It's insulated concrete forms, ICF. It already has an extra layer within there.
And as I mentioned, you know, this is one component, the outside walls, that makes it storm and fireproof and extremely well insulated, because this foam is actually, the size is 2 3/4 inches, a 6-inch space, 2 3/4 inches. It's about 4 or 8 feet long, depending on which company. There's about a dozen companies that make these, 16 or 18 inches high. So this is just a little miniature model of it.
Exactly.
And when you do all of your outside walls out of this, and you up to your roof, and you pour concrete in the middle, that's what makes them so efficient, so storm-proof, and it's, as I said, saves insurance rates. But most importantly, it's going to save lives.
Yes,
you
that's
know, we're
very
not
important.
going to. We won't be having the deaths in fires, in storms. We're not going to be spending the money to rebuild. So, as I said, it's a win-win situation that I'm very happy to be involved with. I have nothing to do with the product. I wish I did, but it's something that, as an architect, I feel it's our obligation to design better when we know that it can be done better.
Yes.
Now, you had mentioned the formation comes in 4 by 8 sheets, or what? Can you have a custom, or how does that work when you cut the sheets apart?
Yeah, well, it's basically a block.
Right.
So the block is either 4 feet wide or 8 feet wide, depending which company. Most of them are 4 feet. There's a couple that are 8 feet, and 16 or 18 inches high. So you basically just put this all the way around.
It's
And
really
then
like
you
Lego
go the
block.
next level, because it has a Lego top and
It
bottom.
does.
It
They
snaps
snap right in.
together, and you go up higher and higher and higher till you get up to the roof, and then the concrete goes in the middle. Your windows
Got
are cut
it.
out before you pour the concrete, and it then, as I said, you score this out, put your electrical wiring, and spray foam it back in, and put your sheetrock right over it, and on the outside, whatever siding you want. So these homes could look like anything that you've seen. Very contemporary, very traditional, or anything in between.
Yes, like I was going to tell the audience, we say Lego block, but trust, these houses look very modern. I mean, we appreciate you invited us there the other week. We have a clip of that. Can we run that?
This is Charles Scott from Tri-State Realty. This is a house of the future. As you can see, look at this panoramic view. Isn't it beautiful? This house is made of a new type of material that's being constructed. It's basically innovative. The architect has invited us out to his home to give us an idea of some of the futuristic homes. This is in Fairfield County, Connecticut. And as you can see, we've got the Long Island Sound in the background. We've got the corner lot. We've got a total of 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 3 levels. This house has triple pane, thermal pane, imported from Europe. This is
Yeah, very nice. We were there, and a beautiful home. Had an elevator in it also.
The other thing I want to mention is that you were talking about the glass. The glass is, you know, I'm used to just the insulated regular glass in a regular house, but this glass was it's triple pane. Maybe you can expound about how that works.
Sure. Well, you know, we have the envelope, which is the ICF. We have the roof, which is a SIP panel, again, a sandwich of insulation and OSB board on top and bottom. It comes from factory, no roof rafters. So the next component are the windows and doors. And you want those to be very efficient. So there's several companies in this country, but most often we're getting them, unfortunately, in Poland, Serbia.
European imported.
And they import them because in Europe, they make these triple pane, very large pieces of glass, any size you want, tilt-turn type windows at a very reasonable cost, and they're used to doing triple pane. Our country is used to doing double pane.
That's all I've heard. I honestly didn't realize you can go triple. I've only heard double in this country.
And that saves quite a bit also in the energy. So if you can have the wall to be very efficient, now we want the doors and windows to be
Yes.
efficient as well.
Now, when you're talking about energy, it just triggered another thought, which I was really impressed that the heating of the unit comes from the floor, and the cooling of the unit comes from the floor. So I can imagine getting up in the winter and it's freezing outside. You know, no one hates take a shower and you get under the cold tile. Here, the entire floor is heated. How does that work?
Sure. Well, the typical home, you have an oil burner, whether it's burning oil or a gas burner, and there's a flame and you're burning that. It's creating either hot water to go through your baseboard, or it creates the inflow radiant heat. But what we do is we take this a step further. We do the inflow radiant heat, but we use it with a heat pump. A heat pump is instead of an oil burner, it runs off electricity, and it's very, very efficient. It's not the heat pump of 20 years ago. These will make the air to water very efficiently. So now we have in the floors themselves is radiant tubing that either has the warm water or cool water running through it, and that provides the heat or the cooling. So yes, in the winter, you get out of bed, all the floors are warm, everything just feels nice. You don't have to be setting back your thermostat to 62. If you want it to be 70, you keep it 70 all year round, because they're so efficient. They don't use much. And then if you do the solar panels, now of course we're not even paying for any of that electricity.
Amazing.
So we don't have to be suffering anymore. You don't need to be putting your sweaters and coats on in the middle of the winter in your own. It's an indoor radiant heat and cooling system that we're promoting.
If you just tuned in, again, we're interviewing Lee Overland. He invited us out to his home of the future recently, and so that the viewers can get to meet him also. He's been here before, but I wanted you to actually expound about some of the things and some of the improvements of the architecture of the future, the new homes. And you know what's amazing is, like you said, in the long run, these homes don't cost any more than an average home, and if anything, they actually cost less. And the heat and as far as the durability of the property, and with the solar panels, another thing you had mentioned before is the battery system you had in the basement.
Yes, that was
and
impressive.
which can be added. Maybe talk a little bit about that, because you have plenty of energy.
Well, the solar, you may have heard the government is giving a 30% rebate on solar panels and other efficient things, even like heat pumps, because we're trying to move our world to a more sustainable place.
Yes.
It's just so important. I know most people, we're so involved in our everyday lives, and it's hard to think about that. So it's the architect's job. We'll think about it for you. And we're going to design these homes for the same, if not less money. However, they will not be using the same energy and oils and gas. So the solar panels is the sixth ingredient we like to put on these homes or buildings. And with the rebates, they actually have about I was saying about a 7 to 9 year payback, but now everyone, unfortunately, you've got your UI or CLMP rate increases. Now the payback is probably more like a 4 to 6 year payback, because those rates just went up significantly. So when you do solar panels, the sun produces that electricity. It can go directly to running your house, or it can go to a battery, so that if you don't have sun out for a day, the battery will run your house.
Yeah, I wanted to mention also, your house has a battery. I see a lot of people with solar panels. I actually had a long conversation with a solar panel company last month. At nighttime, the solar panels aren't working because there's no more sunlight, and there is no storage for energy. a lot of solar panels are set up that any extra energy is sold back to the carrier, or it's Eversource or another company. But with you have a battery downstairs in the house that holds the energy for later use or use at night. That's very impressive.
Yeah, and it actually works both ways because when the sun is out, if you're making more electricity than you are using, it will go back into the grid and actually reverse your meter.
Nice.
So that when you need it at night or a day that doesn't have the sun, now you're buying that back, but you've already given it to them, so they're giving it back to you.
Wow.
However, the battery now gives you that extra insurance, almost like a generator, so that you can store that power yourself as well.
I think that this is so important that you should give out your contact information again so
yes,
people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, and I enjoy speaking. If there's
That's
a
great.
group, if there's builders or realtors or people interested in seeing the house or experiencing this, please call the 203-794-9001 is the office number. And I'm happy to talk to people about this and give tours or lectures. I am teaching at the Connecticut Society of Architects.
Nice.
I did that last year. I'll be doing it again this year, teaching other architects because we do want the architects to be letting the potential clients know that this is available. Change is slow, like the electric car. I use that as an analogy.
Yes.
We'll all be, once we end up buying another car in 5 to 10 years, it most probably will be an electric car. The same thing with building. Now, we don't change buildings, homes, as much as we change cars, so it may take a little longer, but I'm hoping that all the new homes going up, or eventually, and new buildings going up, will be considering the sustainable products, because, as I said, it's a win-win situation. We don't need to be wearing coats in the winter in our own home, and we don't need to be spending all this extra money every month.
Exactly. Like I was going to say, with these houses, we're hoping that instead of calling them houses of the future, we can call them houses of the present. Maybe in 10 or 15 years, this is the standard for every structure we see.
Not only that, but if anyone out there wants to get in touch with Mr. Overland, they can contact us, and we will gladly give you his contact information and direct it to him so that he can get in touch with you. Like he said, he's available for group tours or a person that wants to invite him to talk about what's going on with the architectural world as far as the smart homes and as far as the architectural design as to how this works. So many of the organizations out there, whether it be like a realtor organization, a home builders association, or any association, he wants to get the word out there to let them know that this is something that is all viable and it's being done. You hear about these things and you hear about things that are happening in the future, but to actually see it, and not only that, you're a product of your own.
He lives in the product.
He lives in the product.
Who better to tell you about it?
He thought that much that his home is, and it's very impressive. When you see the home, it's like, we see these programs on TV called MTV Cribs, where they have all these fabulous homes in Hollywood and whatnot. This home here basically outdoes that, because that type of property, a person's always spending money, keeping it up. A
lot of maintenance.
This type of property, the investment is coming back to you.
Yes.
Yeah, and it can be done in any style. And thank you for saying the compliments about my house. Mine's very contemporary, but they can be any style. They can be large or small. We designed several tiny homes, 1 and 2 bedroom tiny homes.
This would be perfect for a tiny home, this type of construction.
Right,
Yes.
and very large homes and everything in between, any style. It really is the way of the future, but as you rightly say, the future is here. It's already here in the present.
That's impressive. That's something new I just realized. I did to bring it down to that particular scale, because some of the homes of the futures, because of the expense of the homes and the cost of the land, the homes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller for affordability. So this would be a perfect type of situation where a person has got a small lot where they can come and put the property or build up from this type of construction. I was impressed that when I picked up the big sheet, it's very light. I expected it to be, rotten, but
Very light.
This is very light because it's then filled with the concrete.
Afterwards, right. So I have the full-scale models of these at the home, although the home, as we said, is made out of that. But I have the products at the home office, so you can actually see it. And you're right. You could probably fit an entire home in this room. It just gets delivered. You don't worry about piles of wood rotting and being out in the rain. This could be out in the rain. They deliver everything, and then you could put up a floor in about 3-4 days. Every floor can go up.
Wow.
And then the roof, you use a set panel. 2 days later, you've got the roof on, already insulated. So it's a great time saver as well.
Yes.
So again, if you're looking for futuristic planning, if you're looking for someone that can come out and talk to you about this particular type of construction, I advise you and I recommend my friend Lee Overland.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Like, again, we thank you so much for inviting us to your home.
Yes.
And like people are saying, like, you can check online and see that tour. This house is very amazing, very modern looking.
Yes, check online. That's
I
right.
would say look on the outside. I kind of thought you can't tell, whether it's frame or not. This stuff is on the inside. It's insulated concrete forms, ICF, and those houses are built very, very strong. Like you said, it could survive a hurricane, a tornado. Very strong insulation.
Well, that's the other thing too. In the places like we see all this devastation
Florida.
that's going on. It was just a couple of days ago, a hurricane came through and devastated an entire city.
Yes.
I could see the devastation occurring in all of the homes that you built, all standing up.
Yeah, 'cause what do you see when they do the it's just wood? Wood is all everywhere throughout the city when you see this destruction. But these homes, these could actually withstand that.
Yep.
Again, I want to thank you
Yes.
for appearing on our
pleasure.
program.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime you want to come back, anytime that we can do anything to further what's happening out there within your
Yes.
particular construction field, let us know, and you're glad to come back anytime that you want.
Thank you. Thank you so
So,
much.
Until next week.
Good
Amen.
evening.
All right, that was-
This is Charles Scott.
Homes are shelter. They try to keep us dry and warm. For hundreds of years, we've been building the same way. It's time to change. I'm Lee Overland. I've been promoting a more sustainable, high-efficiency type of construction. I'm trying to start a discussion with the other architects, the builders, of how to design where we don't need to be using wood, have our houses blow away every 50 to 75 years, catch on fire. So what I'm showing you here today is one of the homes that the major product is called insulated concrete forms. Those are the outside walls. It's incredibly strong. It's insulated, fireproof, stormproof, no mold, mildew, nothing can get inside these houses. These homes actually cost less to build. They also save in energy. So come take a look. The main living area, it's very open plan. I have the kitchen in the back wall, the eating area, the living area, and then I'd like to bring the outside into our projects. So this is the lanai. It's an outdoor space. You could open it up to the living space. The master bedroom has a balcony that comes into this space as well. So for all different seasons, you could be here, be protected from the rain and bugs. Now we do have double doors. Most of the time these are closed because this goes into my office. So everybody wants a home office these days. It shouldn't necessarily have to feel like an office. It should be functional. Because this house is 3 stories, I put in an elevator. You could see out and look at the beautiful view of the water as you're traveling up or down inside your home. Now we're on the top floor, the 3rd floor. Instead of having a big walk-in laundry room, there's no wasted space in this house. And on top of it, you can exercise here with a view. My daughters are older, so when they come and visit or we have guests, I wanted it to feel more like you're on vacation. An ERV system brings fresh air into every single room of this house so that it's a healthy home. It makes me proud to know that they could be coming and visiting in a house that's healthy. While we're in our homes, they should revitalize us. This is the master bedroom, a beautiful view. The view itself is the painting. We didn't need too much artwork in this house. We didn't need any trim in this house. All the floors are wood, very simple because the detail is in the environment, to bring the outside in, to really love nature, to be part of nature. So thank you so much for checking out my home. Look at nextgreatamericanhomes.com. It's a website I started so that everybody involved in this house could have a taste of what the efficiency, sustainability, fireproof, stormproof homes should be like. Thank you so much for joining me.